Hello everyone. We're here again this week at the site of the I-74 bridge. Last week we talked about how the bridge was going to be imploded on Sunday. And by the time you're seeing this, it's happened. There's not much left to it. And the crossing that people counted on for decades is gone. But now there's a new crossing that people can use, and hopefully that'll be around for decades more. And so we talked last week about transitions and getting from one place to the next, and bridges are the things that help us do that. And I shared with you about how God's love and grace and how it's shown through the people around us can serve as that bridge. And this week I want to talk about something more specific, and that's grief. We've had a lot of funerals lately, both at Trinity, and I've led some funerals of people outside of Trinity. And it's gotten me to think a lot about grief and the process that we go through when we have a traumatic loss or a death, something that breaks the bridge, that detonates our hope, that makes it feel like we'll never again be in the happy, safe, secure place that we were, and the unknown seems like a far distant shore, and we have no idea how we're going to get there. Grief is a real thing, and a lot of us are experiencing it at all the time, or at one point or another fairly regularly. You know, death is not the only thing we grieve. We grieve other kinds of losses. Maybe we lose a job. Maybe we have a broken relationship, or maybe we're just grieving some of the hopes and dreams that we had that we think will not be fulfilled. And lots of people will tell you that there's certain steps to grief, or there's a certain kind of process. There are some things that are familiar in everyone's grief, but for the most part, each of us deals with it in our own way. And oftentimes, it's a lifetime process. It comes and it goes, especially when we're grieving the deaths of people we've known and loved ones. We never forget them. We never have what people call closure on that. We remember them until the day that we die and see them again. But, you know, I wanted to talk today specifically about how we get from place to place when we're grieving. You know, much of it is helpful to look at the natural world, or these flowers that I'm standing next to. You know, God shows us that there are times in life that are blooming with beauty, and we feel happy and fulfilled and joyous. But then the flowers lose their petals, and what's left is still nice, the green shrubs and the life that's around it. But then later on, in the winter, the plants go dormant. They lose their leaves and their flowers, and we look at it and go, oh, not much to look at. But as people of faith, we have faith. We know that even when we can't see the new life growing, we know it's there. And we trust that it's going to come back again. And we've made peace with this in the natural world. It's part of the cycle of life. But when we're grieving, it's harder and harder to see and believe that one day the flowers will bloom again. One day there will be beauty in life again. And that is understandable. And it's not a process to be rushed, because it takes time. It takes effort even. And it takes paying close attention to your emotions, to your faith, and the process that you're going through. I want to let you know that part of our work together at Trinity is to help each other through the grief process, to help each other see that the flowers will bloom again, that one another have been through. And here's what you can expect you through that process. I'm going to write you a card or make a phone call. I'm going to sit with you, take you to lunch, whoever that might be. Not just the pastor, but all of us are called to accompany one another through our grief, to help us cross the bridge from a happy place to another happy place. It doesn't mean we forget the loss. It just means that we grow through it. And we anticipate, with God's help, God's promises of love and grace and hope, that those flowers, those good times, will bloom again. I'm thinking, strangely enough, since I'm next to a river, I'm thinking of that famous painting of George Washington in the boat on that Christmas Eve, crossing from one side of the Delaware River to another to confront the British troops during the Revolutionary War. And that famous painting has Washington in the bow of the boat, looking presidential and regal. But you know, what we often forget, because we get so focused on George Washington, is the men in that boat working the oars, navigating through those icy waters, wondering what's going to happen when we get to that other shore. And that's a lot like how we live together in grief. We often focus on the person who's experiencing the grief, the person out front. And the rest of us are the people in that boat, working the oars, making sure that that person can get safely from one side to the other, through sometimes choppy and icy and cold and barren waters. And so, again, as I said last week, this bridge is a symbol of loss, a symbol of a changed identity here in the Quad Cities. But it's also a symbol, the new bridge, that God makes new pathways, especially through our worst times, through our grieving times. And those pathways have been walked by others. We'll all walk them ourselves. And we are called, as one of the central duties and responsibilities of our faith, to walk with one another, whatever may come, and understand that our grieving, our sadness, does not have to last forever, that there will be joy, there will be happiness, not just in this life, but also in the next. It's the promise of God's covenant. That's the promise of Jesus on the cross, that death would lead to life, the little deaths of life are actual physical death. And it's the promise of the Holy Spirit to be with us always, to inspire us. Lo, it says in the Bible, lo, I will be with you till the end of the age. In that we can take hope. Thanks.